Hello everyone and welcome your faces to this Chapter 3 trailer explained video. And of course we're going to throw in a few theories as well. But hello, welcome your faces. Did you enjoy that trailer? I know I did. But don't worry if you missed a few details. In today's video we're going to be talking about all the bits in between. And of course before we get into it, I wouldn't be a YouTuber if I didn't ask you to hit subscribe if you enjoy Poppy Playtime content. And also if you're heading to the Poppy Playtime merch store, it's code Itsjustjord for 10% off your whole order. Anyway, shameless self-promotion out of the way. Let's actually get into this video. I'm super excited to be doing this. Already there's so much stuff coming out. And don't worry, I've got a video coming specifically about the beginning of all the ARG stuff because, again, there is so much in there as well. That just warrants its own video. But anyway, today we are talking about the trailer. So, let's get into it. So, of course, we start the trailer off strong. The first frame of this video is actually a secret message linking us to the ARG. As I said before, though, I will go into detail on this in a completely different video. But note, that is what that flashing image is. And, of course, it spells out something in particular. Again, coming for another video. But of course, after that frame we get to see the aftermath of what we saw at the end of chapter 2, and of course that is the train wreck. And this leads us nicely into Playcare, or the entrance of Playcare. Interestingly enough, one of the things that I've pulled away from this video and trailer in particular is that the Playcare was absolutely meant out to be this all area for kids and stuff. But we've already seen how dark they've actually, well, Playtime Co. have actually lied about it. As we can see here from, I assume this is like maybe a fire exit or a service exit of Playcare. Something really cool and daunting about this video as well is how quiet it is. Now, again, there is some screams in the background and stuff, but we'll touch up on them as we get to them. But it's just the atmosphere in this chapter is absolutely petrifying, and they were 100% right when they mentioned that chapter 3 was going to be absolutely scary because it's on the money so far. And of course, after the shot of the door, we get to see into the, what I assume is the room hallway. I don't know if there's rooms upon rooms, but of course, the Playcare looks to be possibly like a home, if you will, for the orphans, like a collective. For instance, in this image alone, we can see there are actually beds in the darkness and they don't have a door. So, of course, they all sleep in a large room, so multiple people sleep in the same room. And then, of course, we get to see the demise of little Huggy. And I think this particular shot of Huggy is referencing the teaser image that we originally saw. I believe we're now seeing the aftermath of that specific image, as in whatever that creature is, it actually ripped the head off of Huggy. But also something quite interesting to note is actually the toy above it. Now, the toy above it looks to be one we haven't seen yet. And again, it looks to be similar to the one we see on the Playcare poster. Either that of a unicorn or a bear or something in between. And then we come, of course, to probably one of the most interesting parts of this. The children. Is that a daughter of Elliot Ludwig? Ah! Is it? Ah! Woo! That'd be fucking wow cool if it is. And I believe these children are the ones that we see on the illustrations with the 3 stick children. Now, admittedly, in my reaction, I jumped the gun and assumed this was Elliot Ludwig's child. But as you can imagine, it isn't. As we find later, there are even more and more children's photos. And I believe these are linked to specific orphans. But something really interesting is actually the frame around the children. And of course, I say this because I think we're looking at the actual mascot of what this enemy is based on. Because, again, this mascot around this frame, of course, has its face coloured over or nearly lit on fire, I'm assuming. But this mascot looks to match the characteristics of the one scratching and, you know, causing all the havoc in the teasers. And it looks to be here is how it was marketed to the orphans and children in the real world of Playtime Co. And then, of course, we get the good old image of time for bed. Now, we spoke about this before in the previous video, but I do believe everything I stated in that video actually stands. And again, I think we're looking at the 3 orphans. I think they've collectively been selected to test against this mascot, this thing that's helping them sleep at night. And then we get a really nice daunting, I say nice, but a really daunting shot of the Project Playtime phone that we see. And I believe these phones are the ones that connect the employees to each department in Playtime Co. I believe when Project Playtime probably gets its next update, we are going to be able, or when Chapter 3 comes out, I should say, we are going to be able to call down into this number and listen to those noises that were left behind. I have tried doing it so far and I haven't found anything. Of course, if I do, I will make a video about it. Subscribe to make sure you're first to see it. And then we come to the image that Micah teased earlier in the Discord, but this is obviously, of course, the full image of this, and as you can see, we're seeing the same things from that image, but we are also looking at something a little bit more daunting, and it's the text scratched into the wall. And I do theorize, judging by how the monster scratches everything and, you know, in between on the level, I do believe this is the monster who's actually leaving these messages behind, which makes you wonder how much of this monster is actually monster rather than how much of this monster is a person, like we saw with the Bron experiment and stuff like that. But anyway, the text says, "The original saved me. I rejoice in him." And there's something really interesting happening right now, because I don't know if you've seen, but we can see on each of these portraits of the children, there are toys directly around them. And again, like I mentioned earlier about that mascot, the cat, we are also seeing the other toys that were walking into Playcare in the teaser. And I wonder if these toys are linked to the orphans. Perhaps they were their own personal toy in the orphanage or in, of course, Playcare. So I do think there's a connection between the orphan children and the toys that are shown to us in the Playcare teaser image. And of course, the big thing in this video at this point is the massive shadow that glides out of the way. It doesn't heavy footstep, it just sort of sways. And I do believe this is the mascot we see at the end. And again, I think there's a correlation between this pink drawn mascot or enemy or thing and this creature that we're seeing already, because the shape of the shadow is so large that it makes me think that we're looking at the wings here as well. So, of course, it's pitch black. You can't really make anything else, and I have tried, believe me. But we can just see the shadow, and the shadow is such a stature that we are pretty sure that we're seeing the wings of the animal or creature, and, of course, the height. And then, of course, we come to another marking on the wall, some more illustrations. Of course, let's begin first with the "I live to serve, our angel of salvation." And I wonder if this is who has given this creature the wings, basically. I don't think this creature was or began with wings. I actually think, and my theory already is that Experiment 1006 built this creature in a way that helps him in this situation down here, and I think that's why he now has wings, and this is why he's saying these things on the walls. But of course, there's some even further dodgy things to see. There seems to be on the far left, of course, an image of my new friend, which looks to be a creature peering down to a child. In the drawing itself, it looks as if the child is sort of standing next to his friend. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to go on record and say, actually, this image here, this picture that's drawn, that one is referring to Kissy Missy. I believe this is what it means by my new friend, because as we know, Kissy Missy is quite the friendly creature. I think she might have been the only experiment to actually be successful. And I do believe this because it looks as if the image is showing the mascot looking down, like you can just see the beginning of Kissy Missy's head coming into frame with her legs standing next to the child. And I think that's quite an interesting contrast here, because we get to see more of Kissy Missy in Chapter 3, which I am absolutely looking forward to. And then, of course, we come to the top right drawn image, which is just like Mommy and Daddy before they left me. And, of course, it depicts a small child in a dress crying alone with what looks to be a scribble on the side. Now, I don't know if that's just like an angry scribble or whatnot. But what if I told you I think I know specifically who that person is? What if I told you that this person who is writing just like Mommy and Daddy before they left me is Mary Payne, the one who we believe to be Mommy Longlegs, because I believe these illustrations are took from Claire Harper, and Claire Harper again will make more sense as we go into the ARG. But in the ARG, the Claire Harper is a counsellor, and I believe all these images that we see here are drawn for her in those sessions. Now I believe they're from different children, but I believe this one in particular with the purple dress is Mary Payne. And then of course on the bottom right we have "He gives me nightmares," and of course this must be only at night because of the use of the moon, and it looks to be the stick figure attacking this creature with maybe like a sword or a stick or something. I don't think there's much to go on here, and also in the bottom right corner there's just a few scribbles, and again I think it's children hallucinating, writing these notes down. I don't think there's actually any coherent meaning behind them, because again, as we'll find out in the ARG stuff, this gas isn't good, and these children get affected by it big time. And again, if you needed any more validation, just listen to the background noise. I'll play it for you without my voice over it, but you can just hear the anguish and sorrow of children in the background. Again, there's also this footage in the ARG in one of the folders, but again, we'll talk about that in a different video. And then we see, of course, a candlelit floor with what appears to be a bloody mess on the floor. And then after this, it correlates nicely with the Huggy on a spike. And I think this is a good indication that whatever's going on at Playcare isn't all that it makes out to be. I think they are specifically out for any and everybody in Playtime Co., including Huggy. Of course, though, this is the smaller Huggy that we saw in the earlier part of the video. I'm pretty much certain. I don't think this is going to be the Huggy that fell in Chapter 1. And then, of course, we see the catastrophic monster that we're going to be seeing in Chapter 3. And I don't know about you, but to me, I don't even think this is its final form. I think it's going to be even greater than this, because I actually think we are just looking at a shadow. I think we're looking at the casted shadow that it's making. So I actually think Experiment 1006 is massive, and I do believe this is Experiment 1006, or this is what Experiment 1006 is building and making him a part of me, because again, we are very certain there are a mixture of toys in this structure, and we know there are. And also what's interesting is on the right of the arm you can see the mechanism and the shape that 1006 had at the end of Chapter 2, and it looks like it's actually had the addition of Mommy Longlegs added to it. So again, it really reiterates the point that I believe this is 1006. And after that, of course, we get another shot of a wall which has like peeling wallpaper and scratches along the line, and of course more markings, and it says "followers of the path," and then there's a few words that are cut out, so you can't really make the full sentence, although I think it's going to be very intriguing. I think it's actually coined a name for what happened to Playcare after. It's sort of like Barlands or something, so anything sort of barren, if you will. And of course, never forget the hour of joy. And also the one sentence at the top, which is "my somniferous flock," which means my sleepy flock, and I believe this means that the children are chosen, and of course they are gathered to then put to sleep. And I think it's a very horrible situation that's going on at Playtime Co. Playcare, and again, it's very scary, very scary. And then, of course, we get the big reveal of the enemy of Chapter 3. What's interesting is, at the start, it breathes out through its nose the gas in which they use to put these children to sleep. So, of course, I do believe this creature can emit this gas at will. So I think this is why it's partly one of the most scariest things in Playtime Co. But also something really interesting about it is the shape. It actually looks as if it's some type of maybe cat or some type of bird still. It could well be a Cheshire Cat type deal that we see in Alice in Wonderland. But I do wonder if this is not the final form. I do wonder if we're just getting a bit of an inkling here. But it is an interesting thing. I think once the children start hallucinating, this animal or this mascot takes on many forms of distortion, if you will. But I am very intrigued to see where this goes. This enemy in itself looks very scary. What's interesting as well is it doesn't look as if it has as much fur. It almost looks as if it's a cursed PJ Pugapillar, if that makes sense. But I do believe we are looking at something similar to a cat. And then, of course, we get the title, the name for Chapter 3, Deep Sleep, which I think is an absolutely perfect name for such a dark, mysterious chapter. I am really intrigued to see where this goes. Of course, they say it's winter 2023, so at least it is this year at some point, which is good news. I was really hoping they were going to delay it till at least next year, but I'm so glad they didn't. But of course, with that being said, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your ideas. And of course, with all that being said, make sure you have a lovely day, morning or night, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next Poppy Playtime video.